Okay, now I want to share Facebook. Okay. Okay, hello and welcome to, wait a minute, I got to see where I am. Thank you, welcome to Torah for the Nations, and we're B'nai Noach Connection with Israel, and we're also Noahide World Center. We're on the Facebook, YouTube, and we're on Facebook on my channel, and I think we're going to get shared around a little bit now. Share it anywhere you want. Today is the 23rd of December, 2020, and here in Israel, it's the 24th. Thank you for being with us. We're live from Sfat, and we're here with our co-hosts, and we appreciate you joining us. And let me get my little face online here. And it's frozen. Okay. That happened once a minute ago. So just hang in there. I got to restart that. I don't know what's going on with that. So hang on a minute. Here we go. Okay. We all live and pretty and everything going good now. And yeah, here we are. And hoping some other people show up. I know it just, it's around the time of year a lot of people are spending time with their families. So I don't know how many are going to show up, but tonight being so close to this family holiday and so forth. Anyway, we're here live, and Noahide World Center in Jerusalem and Torah for the Nations in Sfat, Israel. Welcome, everybody. We got Terry Hayes and Scotty co-hosts and Thomas. Good to see you. And Emuela, good to see you. And we are the Tennesseans are here. Now it's Terry, Scotty, and Thomas, the three musketeers. Good to have you here. Your mic's not on.
The three amigos.
The three amigos. Okay.
It wants to be Chevy Chase.
Yeah, I remember that movie, The Three Amigos.
I thought it was going to be the Three Stooges, but I'm not.
No.
We got too many Curlys going on in this room.
I'm Curly.
It's so good to have you all with us, and you on Facebook and everywhere you might be. I can't watch everything. Scotty's going to try to watch everything. I see Devorah is out there, and Sally's out there, and Ashley from California, USA, on watching on YouTube. I saw there. And so I hope somebody's watching the Facebook for messages. I can see the ones on YouTube, but I can't see the other ones. Wow. You know, this time of year is a high pressure time of year anyway for other people with the holidays coming up and the new year coming up and all this kind of thing. And this year it's even more pressure on it because of everything else that's going on. Now, I don't know how it is in your part of the world, but here in Israel, they decided tonight to essentially close the skies. That what that means is the only people that can fly into Israel, anybody can leave, but the only people that can fly into Israel are Israeli citizens, not permanent residents, not anyone else. You have to be an Israeli citizen to board a flight to Israel. And when you get to Israel, they take you from the flight to a bus to a hotel. And you got to spend 2 weeks there. And if you take a corona test, when you get off the plane and take another one in 6 or 7 days, then they'll probably let you out in 10 days instead of 14 days. Of course, this being Israel, they have a little office you can go into, and if you stamp your feet and pound the desk, then they just send you home anyway. So this is the way Israel is. But we did it has been the UK version of the corona is here. They found 4 cases of it that have come in from Israeli citizens over the last few days. And it's kicking up again. And as of Sunday night at 5 p.m., the whole country's closing down for 2 weeks. If you need food, you get it delivered. If you need something, you have it delivered. You can't go more than 1,000 meters from your house. 1,000 meters, like 2/3 of a mile. There's 1,600 meters in a mile, so it's about 2/3 of a mile. And I'm thinking we're back with praying at home again on Shabbat and everything else. I'm not sure. I haven't heard it all. But, the world is really facing a problem. And boy, I am hearing all this stuff from people wringing their hands and crying and being all upset about everything that's happening. And yeah, it's okay to be upset, but it's really silly to fear. We don't have the fear. It's okay to feel pain, but it's not okay. In the things that we teach, let me pull something up here real quick. Let's see. We're going to talk about what happens in history in the last couple of days too. 3 days, the 8th, 9th, and 10th of this month, Tevet, because it's pretty interesting. But God said to Jacob, do not fear descending to Egypt. That's in this Torah portion this week. It's Genesis 46:3. The pain is real. Fear is not. The pain is real because we're not in our own true place. Nothing is in its true place. It's called exile of the soul. The fear is not real. There's nothing to fear because no matter where we go, God's there with us. For he is everywhere. The only thing we have to fear is that we may no longer feel the pain, that we may imagine that this is our place after all, for it is that pain of knowing we're in the wrong place that keeps us higher and beyond this place. And this is from a lecture that the Rebbe gave quite a few years ago. I want to discuss this for a minute because I think it's really important. Here it's talking about, he's talking to Jacob, to Israel, says, okay, don't fear going down there. It's okay to go down there. But feel the pain of not being where you're supposed to be. Feel that pain. And because that's what's going to keep you connected to God, and that's what's going to keep you focused on what's going on. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that we're all that way. We're not where we're supposed to be if we're not connected to God directly. It doesn't make any difference what land we live in, but when we walk away from him and we lose that connection, we should feel a real pain in not being connected to him. There's absolutely nothing to fear. You don't have to wring your hands and cry and moan and get upset and worry about, man, I'm going to get punished this way. That's going to happen that way. All you have to do is connect to God. He is our home. He's our king. He is our father. And it's important for us to truly, truly understand that, to truly, truly understand. Hello, Zechia. Hello, Nina. Good to see you. On Facebook. No, that's on YouTube. Where's my screen keep going? There we are. The other morning I woke up and I was thinking, man, when is this going to end? What's going on? And what's going to face me today and what I have to do today? And I don't usually wake up that way. But evidently I'd had some kind of dream or something, and it woke me up in that kind of mood. And I sat there, I did the Modeh Ani, but my first thought was about this, what's going to happen, a little bit fearful thought. And then I did the Modeh Ani. As soon as I did it, I reconnected with God in my thoughts, and it made me feel more, it made me feel, it soothed me. Let's put it that way. It's almost like a tranquilizer. when you start to get that upsetness and you start to feel things are too much for you, then what you do is turn to God. He's the guy. He's everything for us. He is our hometown. I mean, I'm using metaphors. You understand this, right? How do you feel when you've been traveling, you pull into your hometown, unlock the front door of your house and walk in? You just, oh man, I'm home, right? No place like home. Well, okay, that's good right now while we're on this earth, but there's only one place for us to be spiritually. There's only one home for us. That's Hashem. And all of us are equal in that. Nobody's better than anybody else. You don't have to try to earn something special by doing extra things. You don't have to do all that stuff. Hello, Brian Retna from Malaysia. Good to see you. Paul Garcia on Facebook. How you doing? I know it sounds... Shira would tell me, it sounds like you're on Romper Room or so. I don't know if you guys know what Romper Room is. But every time somebody came by or somebody new was in the room, they'd say, welcome that person. So this is for kids. But I feel that, and I see a lot of other people do it on their programs. So I'm hoping you guys don't take offense that I'm doing this, but I like to welcome people. They're walking into our home where we are sitting here right now, temporary home together, showing unity. And we got from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Hario, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but the last name is Garza. Anyway, listen, guys. Oh, here's somebody else from Jamaica. Wow, get some good viewers. Listen, why am I talking about this? Every time you turn around, the news they're throwing another fear in our face. They're saying, oh man, look what's going on. Oh my goodness. This one's causing this and this one's causing that and all that kind of stuff. And they're just instigating this fear in us. There's a group of people that did it for 4 years trying to put down the leader of the USA. All they could do is stir up and agitate fear. Now, one thing I took heart in, I read some of the United States newspapers over the internet just to see what's going on. And some of the cities where these people did their things, what happened is they're actually suing the like Black Lives Matters and some other people for damages and things like that, which is good. Countess Elaine from Jamaica. How you doing? Look, we're supposed to be humble, but not timid. There's a huge difference between the two. We're not supposed to try to have pride. We're just supposed to be who God made us to be and do what God wants us to do. Now, everybody says, well, what am I supposed to do? What's my mission in life? What am I supposed to do? Well, I'm going to go out and start a ministry. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And we fret our hands and we worry about it and we fear not doing right what God wants from us instead of looking right in front of our face and seeing that God wants us to be a decent human being. That's what God wants from us. Be a decent human being. And you can't do that by looking around at other people. You can only do it by looking at yourself and saying, am I acting according to, as Scotty loves to say, am I acting according to the handbook? Am I acting according to the instructions? And by the way, Scotty hit it right on it with this new video he just put up a few hours ago, that book doesn't need to be built on. It's not the foundation for other books. That book is the bottom line, and that's all it is. It's what it is. Now, we may need some explanation from some experts like the sages and the people we call the Tanaim and the Amorim and the first sages and second sages and things like that have insight into it. But we do not have to say, wait a minute, this book isn't quite right. We got to edit this book. We got to add some new stuff to this book because the author didn't make it right. Man, I would like to see somebody stand face to face with Hashem and tell them, well, you know what? You didn't do a perfect job. We got to correct it for you. We got to put a different interpretation on it because you just didn't quite get it right, God. But that's what most of the world does to God. Something is added to what he did because, this is just a framework and, it's just not good enough. That's not why God wrote that book at all. It's a gift to us, each and every human being. And it shows us how he wants us to act, but he doesn't want us to all act identically. You need to understand this. In that book, there's parts for these people and parts for those people and parts for other people. There are parts that he created us to fulfill so that the whole thing is a completeness. And so it's up to me and you to learn what we have to do to do our part to complete the Facebook thing. Hi, Tony. Good to see you. Humility was modesty and patience. That's part of the definition of humility. That definitely is. Modesty and patience. If you're not modest, then you have pride because you're showing off for whatever reason you think you need to show off. And patience is one of the things we all have to master so that we don't have anger in us. Humility is also knowing who we are. Moses was called the humblest person that ever lived. And why was he called the humblest? Because he didn't make sure people knew, hey, I'm Moses, man. I got the Red Sea split, and I did this, and I did that. This was the job God gave him, and he just did it, and he did it as good as he could do. But he also thought that maybe if God gave it to somebody else, he'd have done it better. He just knows that's the best I could do. Now, God appreciated it, and we appreciate what he did. So he didn't lord it over people. He didn't walk into a room and say, everybody stand up and bow down because I'm Moses. He was humble. He was just acted like everybody else, except when it came to the things that God told him to tell people and do. Now, one of the main things that God told Moses to do was to teach the elders, the 70 elders, teach the women, the house of Jacob, and teach Bnei Israel God's word. And then God told him to tell us that we're supposed to then teach it to the rest of the world. Teach them who Moses is. Teach them about the words of Moses, which were actually the words of God. Anyway, if you like to take credit for everything you do, and you make sure people know what you did, I don't care how nice a person you are, you're not humble. If you meet someone, whether it's the first time or it's a friend of yours you have right now, when you get together, they don't want to talk about themselves. They might be really nice people, and they might help people out tremendously, but they only want to talk about themselves. The conversation, and if you say to them, well, I woke up this morning, man, I had this pain in my foot, and it was hard to walk this morning, and they're going to say, yeah, I got up this morning, and this was hurting, and that was hurting. Right away, it switches over to them and what affected them. Well, that's part of the problem of not being humble. When someone wants to talk, look at Korach, just as a reminder, and how he talked to Moses. Totally, the guy was a genius. He was a scholar. Oh, there's Gloria. Good to see you, Gloria. Greetings from California. The guy was a genuine scholar, and he was a good guy. He wasn't a bad guy. But he went to Moses and says, who gives you the right? What's wrong? I'm as good as you are. I have the right to do this and right to do that. And Moses listened to him. And then Moses fell on his face and said, oh, man, you shouldn't be talking like this. He warned him. And that's when God stepped in and put bring the 250 that went with them, bring your incense pans, bring your staffs, bring that. Anyway, most of you know the story anyway, and we're going to be reading it not too long in the distant future, so we'll just skip over it for right now. But the point is, he wasn't humble at all. When you look at somebody and say, what's that makes them so great that they can get a raise and I don't? I'm better than they are. That's not humbleness. And when someone dresses, do you know, when someone here, let's say they're hiking through the woods and you go through a park and there's people out there hiking through the woods and you see a guy without a t-shirt on. A guy without a t-shirt on. You know, and he's usually got muscles, you know, these guys. It's like you're watching somebody walk around nude, because in Israel, people don't walk around like that. That's a form of pride. Look at me, man. Look at this, you know. Women do the same thing, unfortunately. Not all women, obviously. Not all guys, obviously. But when you see immodestly dressed women, they're doing the same thing. It's like they're showing off how proud they are of the way they look. Even if sometimes we might look at them and say, I can't believe the person's doing that because they aren't so good looking. I remember before we became frum, and Sharon and I would go to the beach, or we'd be walking around Tel Aviv, and she'd look at somebody and say to me, that person didn't look in the mirror before they left the house this morning. They didn't realize how they looked and what they're wearing. It's funny. We don't do that anymore, but these are things that we used to do. But that's also not being humble. You're saying, I'm better than that person. I dress better than that person. My haircut's better than that guy's, and things like that. So you have to have the humility. You have to have it. Now, we have a new lecturer. His name is Ariel. He lives in Afula. We're going to do it. And I'm going to do it by way of interview, and it'll be going up on my Facebook page and all the other Facebook pages we have. And he's going to be talking about something similar to this. There's, you know, we got the 7 Noahide categories. We got the 10 commandments and the 7 universal laws. And we've got all these in the prayer book, in the Jewish prayer book. There's a thing called the 6 remembrances. And I haven't heard anybody ever talk about them. I mean, to Jewish people I have. But he says, we're going to talk about that to everybody, because they apply to everybody. And hopefully by tomorrow, the first, and they're short ones. They're 10, 12, 14 minutes. They're not anything long. And we're going to be talking about those. And he takes things and he looks into them in a spiritual way, but puts it in such simple language. And when you hear them or anything, if you have questions about them, if you send me those, when I do the interviews with him, I will put the questions before him. He's Israeli. His English is not like we talk English, you know. He's got the accent, and maybe he doesn't get the exact right word every time, but he's good to listen to. His name's Ariel, and we will start having him on. But he teaches about humility. He teaches about working for God, and he talks about the most important thing, that you have to be in joy. Everything you do, you have to do with joy for God. It doesn't make any difference if you're praying, you're doing a mitzvah, you're doing something that's not a mitzvah, but you're doing something good for somebody else, which actually is a mitzvah because you're being kind to somebody. So we have that to look forward to. We got a lot of exciting things coming up. For the women, Cheryl will be back the first week of February, it looks like, because she comes back to Israel sometime in the middle of January, and then she has to be in a Corona hotel. And that's 14 days, more or less. And let's see, I've suffered from respiratory illness my whole life. I breathe easier in the cold. It's more striving for some kind of truth than a show of pride. I understand a lot of Israelis travel to India for a mystical experience. Yes. Well, we have you know what? It's like a tradition here in Israel. When the men and boys of Israel, men and women of Israel, when they finish high school, when they're 18, the summer that they're 18, they get, what's going on with my picture? Okay. The summer that they're 18, let me do something else here so you guys can see something besides my picture like that. How's that? And meanwhile, I'm going to do this and do this. Okay. When they are 18, hi Cole, good to see you. They've been in Israel their whole lives. They've gone to school their whole lives. They don't even go to college after high school. They go directly to the Army service, and they do their Army service. And after the Army service, most of them want to take a year off before they start doing their higher education. And let's go to Peru. Let's go to India. Let's go someplace mystical in the world, and let's look around at things. And there are a lot of Israelis in a lot of places, Thailand, Nepal, Peru, Argentina, Brazil, all young. They go looking for this mystical experience, as James says. And I'll tell you why. When we teach the kids in school, the mystical side of Judaism is not taught. In other words, everything you read in the Tanakh, everything you read in the Hebrew Bible, you read the 5 books of Moses, you read the writings, you read the prophets, you read the Psalms. This is a history book for us. This is the history of our people. Just like you would pick up a book and said, okay, this is a history of the English people. This is history of the Celtic people. This is a history of the Indian people. It's like a documentary. And so they're told the history. Okay, speaker view, yes. They're told the history of our people. Just like all of you have family histories and the family passes it along to the family history part. Well, this is what we're doing because we're part of what God calls Israel, and it's that book tells us our history and why God created us and how he created us and why he created everybody else. And we don't get into this mystical stuff. And there was a cartoon running around Israel here for a few years back. And the funny part is it shows in a cartoon form, this guy climbs this mountain, and gets all the way to the top, and he's sweaty and he's dirty, and he comes to and this is, I guess, in India or something. And the guy says, oh man, Guru, I finally made it. I got to the top. I'm ready for my mystical experience. And the Guru says, okay, tell me about yourself. The guy says, well, I'm from Israel. I'm Jewish. And the Guru says, wait. What are you doing here? He says, I'm looking for my that great mystical experience. And he looks at him and says, I can't give you any more than what you have for who you are, an Israeli, and you have God's with you all the time. So the guy says, well, you're not going to teach me anything? He says, I just did. And he sent the boy away. Now, many times we don't realize how close we are to God, and we go through all these struggles and all these things, and we want this mystical experience. And sometimes it's just an idea of learning what you have in your hand, learning the worth of it, learning how it connects you to God, and you can call it a spiritual or a mystical experience, but all of life is a mystical experience. Some people are more spiritual than others, and that's okay. So it's important to remember that. But this is what happens to the Israelis here. They go all over the world looking for these mystical experiences. And unfortunately, they run into the Israelis that are traveling around the world know how much a gram of hash is in Peru or in India, or marijuana or something like that. And they do these experimental things. And that's what they do, looking for the mystical experience. They're looking for something that they don't realize is like a high from a drug. It's good for a few minutes and then it goes away. If you want to have that experience with God, then it's up to you to connect with God and go forward every single day of your life. And I know it sounds repetitious, but when you get up in the morning, you say the Modeh Ani, and it's in the Brit Olam prayer book. It's the prayers when you wake up. Where I got it? There we go. This prayer book, and you connect. I mentioned earlier, I didn't do the Modeh Ani the minute I woke up. I was worried about something else. And I had some fear in me. The minute I said Modeh Ani, and I reconnected with God, it all went away, and I felt better. Use it. It's a great, I don't want to say a drug, but it's a natural healing thing. Everybody's about nature today. What's the nature's way of healing? Well, that's God's way of healing each one of us and making us a better person. But we have to take the initiative. Earlier this week, I was at a geriatric doctor. Our health organizations make us go to it when we hit certain ages, and I'm coming up to 76. So I had to go have one of my appointments. And the lady looked at me and said, okay, I'm looking at your blood work. You got to take vitamin B something or other, B12, I think, and vitamin D every day now. And I said, well, why? Well, first of all, it's just you don't get enough sunlight. You don't get out in the sun enough. I mean, that's funny living here in Israel, but I guess I don't. I'm inside a lot. And she said, you need it. And then your body kind of, as you get older, doesn't produce as much vitamin B3. I don't know. The vitamins doesn't process it out of the foods enough. So you have to start taking it. And she said, you also, at your age, it's important that you do 150 minutes of walking every week. And I said, why? She says, because as we get older, our muscles become weaker. They don't become stronger. They start to become weaker. And if you want to keep them in shape, you got to use them more than you did when you were younger. I mean, I'm scratching my head. I got to be more active than I was younger. And she says, no, but you have to keep them more in other words, you have to work to keep them in shape. The muscles, as you get older, then look, I used to lift weights. And when I stopped lifting weights and working out 4 or 5 times a week, my stomach went from up here to down here. It just dropped. And the older I got, it dropped some more. So she says, you got to you got to work on it to keep yourself in shape. And as I left her office and I was thinking about things, I realized if we don't exercise our spiritual connection every day, what we call our spiritual connection, you know what I'm talking about, it weakens. It becomes not as strong. It becomes easier to just, okay, I'm not going to have that connection today. I'm not going to think about God at all today. Or at the end of the day, you say, wait a minute, I didn't have that connection today. And you know what? This is what being a human being is all about. And it doesn't make any difference what we call ourselves or who we are, where we were born. The connection is the same. There is no difference in the connection. Everyone is equal. Yes, the Brit Olam prayer book is in English. That's what I held up earlier. There was a question about that. And this book is used, by the way. You want to use it? You want to justify buying it? Then all you have to do is at 11 p.m. Eastern time every Saturday, get with Tony and get with Cole, and they do the prayers for the Sabbath, and they read the Torah portion. Usually Rabbi Goldberg is there. Right now, time allows it because we're done with Shabbat at that time, and he comes in and gives an explanation about the Torah portion for the week. So get the book, and if you have a problem or if it's too expensive or something, let me know. Maybe I can find a way to help you out with it. But yeah, and this, by the way, this Saturday meeting is very important. This is how you form your community, folks. Everybody's saying, where's my community? Where's my community? I was at a meeting this week with Rabbi Shirky and guys from Europe and from the Far East and Africa and South America. Now, we have people that, for Noahide World Center, we're in charge of certain areas of the world. And I hear and listen to these guys. Man, this whole village has set up a congregation, Noahide congregation. This whole town set up a Noahide in the Ukraine or in Russia or in India or in other places around the world. Whole towns, whole groups of people. It happens in the Philippines also. Decide they're going to go with. They're giving up everything else, and they're going to get in Noahide, and they have a teacher, and they invite other teachers to speak to them over Zoom. America can't do that. I'm a little bit, these guys, they go to, I was listening to one of the guys, he's Israeli, and he was there leading. And he says, I was in this town, and we got together and had a meeting, and we have a whole congregation in this town. We have one town next to it and one in the town next to it. And I'm saying, boy, I'd love to see America like that. But America won't do something like that. Not yet. Because people are too, well, you know what? I don't quite agree with what this guy's saying, so I'm going to go do my own thing. And that is, we're independent people. We are, and Americans, I had that problem when I first came to Israel, because we like our space around us, and we like, okay, think what you want. I'm going to think what I want. And they're just, I don't know I hope you understand what I'm saying. There are some towns in America, like they're Quaker, or they're Church of Christ, or they're, and everybody that lives in the town just about goes to the same churches. But you can never get them to change as a group to become a Noahide. But all over the world, it's happening right now today. America is so far behind. And the Noahides in America are denominating. Just think about that for a minute. And the rest of the world is leading America today in the connection with Hashem. Look, Hashem says, I am the God that led you out of the land of Egypt. He's the God of Israel, right? Well, yeah, he physically led us out of Egypt and split the Red Sea for us, but every single person listening to my voice has an Egypt they got to get out of. And he's the God that's going to lead you out of that Egypt. He's the God that's going to pull you away from the lies you've been taught. And they weren't taught to you on purpose, believe me. The people are teaching you today, they believe is absolute truth. And you used to do that. You know that. Somebody turned the light on for you. You did it, or God did it, or something happened in your life to turn the light on. You have an Egypt to come out of. Once you're out of that Egypt, you don't have to say to people, well, God chose me to replace the other people. No, you choose yourself. You walk out of Egypt and you come into the beautiful light of the one true God, the God of Israel. So it's something that everybody has to do and everybody has to know to do. But in America, I'm not putting Americans down. It's just a way of thinking. When I first came to Israel, what happened was there's no such thing as personal space. And that is aggravating for an American. People stand too close to you on the bus. They stand too close to you in line at the checkout counter. They stand too close to you, and when there's no lines for the buses, the bus pulls up, everybody goes whoop for the door. And Americans can't stand that. I couldn't stand it. And you get an argument with somebody here. And when I first got here, I had a few of those. And the people get right up in your face, nose to nose. If somebody did that in America, what would you guys do? What would a woman do if another woman? Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're like this close, or like their fingers like this in your eye, right in your front of your nose. And these people believe in a togetherness, a closeness. You see it a lot of places in Europe, across the Middle East, across the Far East. In America, you just don't see it. Man, give me my space. Stand back. Don't you dare get too close to me. And when they start talking about you have to stand 2 meters away from somebody, I said, that's great for the Americans here. They love that anyway, because they're always complaining about everybody standing too close to them. Anyway, where's Jonesboro, Arkansas? Where is that? Arkansas. Anybody near that? Anybody listening to me out there? Any of you that think you're too far away, get a hold of Tony, get a hold of Cole. Be there in their meetings on Saturdays at 11 p.m. I think it lasts about an hour, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But they do a good job, and it's a way to bring people together and form a community. You can meet people that way in the Zoom room. Anyway, all I'm saying is, you know what? You looking at me right now, and I got this beard, and I'm wearing my black hat, and yeah, I'm Jewish. But guess what? I'm no different than you are. We were talking about it a little while ago before the show, I think. I just got my work uniform on. Just like a fireman. Just like a policeman. This is my work uniform. I work for God. This is the way he wants me to dress for the work I do. You don't have to dress that way. But it also helps me remember every day when I get up who I am. In other words, I get up in the morning and I put my talit on, my talit katan, which has the fringes on it that hang out from my shirt. And I put my white shirt on, not a blue shirt or a red shirt or a green shirt. Before I started wearing black and white, I used to like natural colors, and anyway, for me, it's a uniform. reminds me who I work for every day when I wake up. If you're a UPS driver or if you're a FedEx driver, they got their uniforms. You look at them, you know who they work for. But that's what they're supposed to do. That's their job. So everybody has a way they dress. A lot of companies have uniforms to distinguish them. That's your work thing. So they know when people walk in, you know who works there and who doesn't. You know that and stuff like that. So what I'm getting at is you have to know it up here too. It's very important. The minute you wake up in the morning, you have to realize, well, I have to reconnect with God. I have to love everybody as I love myself. And everybody I look at was made in God's image. Don't make any difference who it is. Don't make any difference what they look like. Every one of us looks like God. Now, that's not idolatry, believe me. He made us in his image, but he made us in his image, not just the physical is part of the animal part of our body. His image is what he gave us inside. The power to do things, the power to think, the power to make decisions, the power to turn to him and say, okay, Father, King, God, cover me today. I don't want to be afraid today to go out in the world. I don't want to be afraid of the coronavirus. I don't want to be afraid of anything. But I want to remain humble, and I want to be the complete human being that you want me to be. And we forget about that a lot. That, I mean, if I go on to, let's just for a minute, I'm going to switch it on to the other view, gallery view. All right, look, you can see pictures of 6 of us here right now. But we're all the same. There's no difference between us. Ah, there's Tony. Good to see you. There's not one single difference between any one of these people you're looking at here and you. We're all made in his image. Selim Elohim. Selim, the Hebrew word Selim, means it's a picture. L'tsalem is to photograph someone. It's a copy, an exact copy. And we are. And it's something that we have to understand and accept about ourselves. And every single one of us is worthy to be who we are. Every single one of us is worthy to be who we are. All we have to do is do that fix that Solomon talks about in Proverbs, and not in Proverbs, in Ecclesiastes. King Solomon said, hey, fear God and do what he tells you, do his commandments, and that makes you complete. He doesn't say fear God and do every single commandment that was in the Torah. He says you yourself, fear God and do what he tells you to do, but not what you think he tells you to do. It's listed out in the 613. It's listed out in the categories of the 7. And it is important to realize that we're all the same. We have our job to do, and I don't have to do your job, and you don't have to do my job. Just don't have to do it. You have to be who you are, not who I am. I have to be who I am and not who Terry is or Scotty or anybody else. I just have to do my thing and do what God tells me to do. Also, Tony says when the time's not right during prayer service, in other words, Shabbat isn't over in Israel, so somebody can come in and do the commentary on the prayers. On the Torah portion, they're going to have it videoed, so they're good. Very good. Way to go, Tony. You guys are a step ahead of all that stuff. I know that. So, order this book. It's going to help you a lot. Brit Olam. You can order it on Amazon, or you can order it through Lulu Press. And you'll have this when you go to pray with the guys, and when I say guys, by the way, in Hebrew, we don't always say guys and men and women. Good. Ashley ordered it on Amazon. In Hebrew, when we say guys, we're talking about men and women together. In other words, we're addressing everybody. We don't say, well, everybody listening, he and she, man or woman, we're all human beings. We're all the same. In Hebrew, we use the masculine. God set it up that way. Don't argue with me about it. God set it up that way. That's how the what do they call it in Hebrew we call it digduk. In English it has a grammar. That's how the grammar works. As soon as there's one guy in a room of 1,000 women, the whole room is addressed in the male. And if there's no man in the room, then it's all addressed as female. As soon as there's a man, but God set it up that way. So you got a problem, talk to him about it. Don't talk to me. I mean, wow. Some other thoughts came to my mind today about these. Well, I'm a no gender person. That kind of stuff makes me laugh. I'm not making fun of them. It just makes me laugh that they could possibly think that they're a no gender person. Anyway, I know I've just rambled all over the place today. Before you came in, I was asking Terry and Scotty, what should I talk about this week? Because I wasn't quite sure. And then while I was setting up the cameras, I dropped everything on the floor. I don't know where it is. It's probably under my chair now, of a little list of things I want to talk about. But listen, I want you guys to understand, you men and women, to understand. And I really would like, if you would please contact me with questions that we can use on this program every week. Look, there's so many good teachers out there. There's so many good people teaching different books, and they're teaching it from a Noahide perspective. The rabbis now, I'm talking about the people who are supposed to be teaching, the rabbis, and the other people that are certified teachers in the Noahide community. Scotty is one of those. Terry is one of those that are with us. So if you need help from them, get a hold of them. And they do exactly, and this is the way the system's set up, by the way. If you go to, let's say, I'm going to use Terry, I'm going to use you as an example. You read some of Terry's blogs, or you like some of his teachings, you go and ask him a question, he can answer you. But he also in his own mind has to say, wait a minute, I'm not quite sure the answer. Let's go up and let's talk to Pesach. And if I can't get the answer, I'll say, let's go talk to Rabbi Shirky. Nobody's supposed to just give their opinion. There's an exact chain and order to do things. And you're not supposed to get, I think this and I think that. Because God wants it done in a pretty exact way. And it was set up before the Jews hit Mount Sinai, before the Hebrews, the Israelis hit Mount Sinai. And guess who helped them do it? Jethro. He said to Moses, what, these people have to stand all day and ask you questions? Appoint captains of tens, captains of 50s, captains of hundreds, captains of thousands. Let them come up the chain. So if somebody, and also this is part of being humble, if you're a leader and someone comes to you and says, ask you a question and you don't know the answer, you got to be able to tell them, I don't know the answer, but let's get it together. And go up to the next person up and the next person up. And you don't go hunting around for the person that gives you the answer you want to hear too. But you can ask any question you want. There's none of this, it's just because we said so answers when you're walking with God. Now, once in a while, you may hit a wall and say, well, God said this is it. Okay, he's God. He can do that. And we might not get a deeper understanding than what we can relate to you and say, okay, this is it. This is what we understand from God. And we can do that because we don't see everything. What we see belongs to, our understanding belongs to us, and what we don't see doesn't belong to us. So no fishing allowed. That when you get an answer, you just accept it. You don't tell somebody they're wrong. If one rabbi teaches something goes this way and another one says it goes that way, it's okay, as long as they both get to the same point in the end. And if you have questions about that, get a hold of me, and we'll talk about it. In America, we got to do something about getting unity into the things in America, and part of it is there are people that learn a little bit and think they know everything, and that is totally not humble. They go in and they put people down. They make insinuations. Totally not humble, and it's against Torah. It's against what God wants. I can read something and think all I want about what that person said, but to go and put it on a public forum like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and tear that person down and tell them how wrong they are because this is what I think, is totally against God, totally against Torah, totally against being a complete human being. You know, as I'm working during the day and I'm doing things during the day, I have a screen in front of me. And sometimes I just don't like it to have a bunch of writing up. Even if I'm reading a book here on my desk, I put on, in the mornings and the evenings, they have these live safaris in South Africa. And someone drives around in a Jeep, the cameraman mounted on top, and they hunt for animals. So we can see how they live, the elephants, the giraffes, all the different types of deer. Sometimes you actually see them hunting each other. I mean, it's just weird, but it's real nature, you know. And I find it very serene to watch God's creations doing what they're supposed to do and living a life like they're supposed to do. Let me tell you, if you've never seen elephants play in the water, you're missing something. They're good swimmers. But God created them to be who they are. And he created you to be who you are. Not who you think you are, not who you think you want to be, not who you think you want to dress like, not who you want to copy and imitate. You're not supposed to copy and imitate anybody. You're supposed to be who you are, and each one of us is unique. Just like God knows the names of every star he created. He can call them by name. And there's a whole lot more stars than there are us guys. Yeah, it's Kruger Park, but it's called Live Safari or Wildlife Safari. You just get it on YouTube. It's usually almost every morning it's on live and every afternoon. They are in Kruger. They're in a bunch of the different parks. It's just a relaxing thing to look at. And it helps you kind of blend in with nature. And sometimes I just put a little bit of sound on so you hear the animals, you hear the birds, and you hear that. It's just like you're out there right in the middle of God's creation. Very relaxing, and it's good. When I read, I find I can concentrate better when I got something like that around me. I don't know how I got onto that subject. I lost that train of thought. But anyway, so you are the beginning of the tidal wave, the tsunami that's coming. You're just part of it. And you're learning the things that people are going to be learning years from now. You're way ahead of everybody. But you need to bring people, you need to work with people so they know who you are. In other words, no, I'm the Noahide and I'm a good guy and, I put all the lies behind me. Not that kind of no. They have to feel you. In other words, you're a good person. You don't get angry at people. You don't yell at people. You're not jealous of people. You're not talking about people. And if people want to talk to you about other people, you just tell them, I'm sorry, don't need to talk about that, or just don't listen, or whatever. That influences other people. So just do it. Just do it. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? I haven't seen anything on Facebook, but I'm looking in the YouTube right now. If anybody has any questions or anything they want to say right now regarding what I've said or haven't said or whatever. Somebody asked a question about does Noahide World Center have a Facebook page? Absolutely does. Also, you can go to B'nai Noach Connection with Israel. We have teachings there, and we're connected to Noahide World Center. We work with them. We're certified by them. Believe it or not, there's only 2 groups on this planet that work out of Jerusalem that have, I only know of one that has the complete, they're called approbations, letters of reference from all the chief rabbis in Israel and from the government of Israel, and that's Noahide World Center. And they've had it for years. So they are, I would say, the certified group. Now, you can join another group, it's okay. But the whole point of becoming a Noahide is joining with Israel. That's funny, Laura. I'll address that in just a minute. Terry that's where his teaching certificate is from. Scotty's got that. B'nai Noach Connection with Israel and Torah for the Nations. We are certified through them. I looked for years for an authorized, and I talked to the 2 in Jerusalem. And there's one basically Ashkenazi and one Sephardi. They have little differences of opinion about things, but that's okay. They're both right. Differences, it doesn't make any difference. They're both right in what they teach. There's no wrongness here. And I'm not going to go into the actual teachings, but they're both right. And we hooked up with Rabbi Goldberg and Rabbi Shirky at the Noahide World Center because of the amount of years they've been doing it, because of the people that have actually said, yes, this is a good organization. It's a kosher organization. It's good. And it's okay, whatever organization you belong to. But someone just asked, it says my current Noahide friends are from Facebook, etc. Noahide Nations for one. Somebody else put in Noahide Nation for all mankind. That's fine. But don't limit yourself. You have to be a little careful. This is what causes denominationalism. If you're listening to this teacher over here and you see that another teacher is teaching on the same subject, and they teach it a little differently, you don't have to choose which one is right. You take the information in from both of them. They're both right. Now, if it's do this or don't do that, then you decide for you what is good. It's important that you understand this. You do not choose which of the teachers is right or wrong. How do you think we've survived as a nation and as a people for so long? And we have Ashkenazi, we have Sephardi, and we have this rabbi and that rabbi and the other rabbi and somebody else. Why we have Rambam and Ramban and Hatama Sofer and all these other people, because we know everything they're teaching is right, even if they sound like they're opposite. But I have to find the one that fits with me, but that's fine. But I don't say the other people are wrong, and I don't stop listening to the other people. Don't sell yourself short. Get all the information you can so you have it, because in the end, you're going to need it anyway. So, by the way, we're thinking of having on the 10th of January, it's a Sunday, another Bet Din set up for anybody that wants to take the pledge. Anybody who wants to, get a hold of me so I can get you on the list. So you can start getting the emails about it. It'll happen probably at 4 in the afternoon Israel time, which makes it 8 in the morning New York time. It's on a Sunday. So if you know anybody that might be interested or you're interested, come on and let me know so we can get you on the list. I'll be there. Rabbi Goldberg will be there, and I forget the other rabbi that's going to be there. So, Scotty, did you want to go ahead?
Well, I just want to ask if you could cover a little more like the criteria. Now, I do agree listening to different rabbis, and I also agree that you need a main covering to talk to, a main rabbi teacher. But what is the criteria of some teachers that you probably shouldn't listen to? Like if they kill this one in order to prove their point, or they're, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't know if you want to cover that or not, but I would just.
Yeah, we've covered it a lot. But we're gonna. Well, first of all, we got a question. How do you contact me? On Facebook, it's Pesach Sherbo, or that's the best way to do it. Message me through the Facebook page. That's because I get messages from some of the other pages we do, and sometimes I miss them. But just make me a friend, and then we can just send a message, and we'll get in contact that way. Scotty just brought up a great point. When you're listening to a teacher, how do you know which teacher to listen to? I'll say it this way. There's a lot of people out there that are teaching that don't have the full understanding of what it is to be a teacher to the Noahides. And they teach it like they're teaching a bunch of Jewish people. And you'll know them because they're the ones that use a lot of Hebrew in their teachings. They're the ones that, as they're teaching, they're going to use Hebrew and Yiddish and all this stuff, and they're going to act like you already know what it means. Then there's going to be the one, but they're teaching for Jewish people. Understand that. Now, if you can understand it, that's fine. But a lot of people come to me and say, I don't understand what they're teaching. An important fact, so you know that they're teaching teachers for Jewish people, not Noahides, although they may want to talk to the Noahides. The other thing is, and this is very important, the minute that any rabbi or any teacher puts down any other teacher or rabbi, they're wrong, and you're listening to the wrong person. When you hear somebody putting somebody else down, they may say, well, I'm just warning you. I just want to let you know. But what they're saying is, I'm better than the other guy. So as soon as somebody gets into that, what you don't want to do is buy into that story. If someone is very opinionated, don't buy into that story. Don't listen to them as a teacher. If they talk bad about other people, don't listen to them as a teacher. Now, they may do exactly what I'm doing now. I'm giving you some general things to look for to help guide you to be in the right place. But I'm not going to say, Rabbi this, don't listen to her. Rabbi that, don't listen to her. This Noahide group over here, they don't want to hear from, they do their own little thing over here. They just, in B'nai Noah connection with Israel, and some of my Jewish brothers and sisters got upset with me, but they do these really in-depth teachings and say, okay, this is for the Noahides. And I'd listen to it and say, wait a minute, you're not talking about Noahides, you're talking about all Jewish stuff. How does this help the Noahides? And they get upset with me. But I won't post them because there's no reason to. There's enough teachers out there teaching, the sayings of the fathers, which is a good thing to teach. And they teach a bunch of other things, which is good to teach. We don't need competition between that. And basically, when I come on and I'm teaching an open discussion, I'm trying to help you guys walk a path that you need to walk and guide you down it. But you'll never hear me put down someone else, ever. And you'll never hear a good teacher will never do that. Plus, a good teacher does something else. You don't have to raise yourself up to try to be better than them. Or try to raise yourself up to be better. They shouldn't be talking up here to you. A good teacher takes what he knows and filters it down so the person listening to him can understand it. And it's important that we know this. Okay. All right. I'm seeing that there's evidently some kind of messages coming in the room that people are playing games or something in the YouTube chat. So I don't know if I can block them or not. I blocked it, so I don't see their messages anymore. If you see something you don't want to look at or listen to, or just block them, it'll say message hidden. So I'll just give you a little advice on that. Unfortunately, we can't police everybody. That's how you pick your teacher. You want someone that you don't have to leave and say, well, what did he say? Didn't understand everything. He used too many Hebrew words. He used too much Yiddish. He talked too fast. He talked too slow. He's talking about something up here that I don't know about. You want to choose your teacher that's someone that talks to you, that you can listen to. You don't mind spending an hour with that person and listening to them. And they'll always keep you on the right path. And if they don't have an answer, they'll get it for you. They won't produce an answer. That's how you know what a good teacher is and who you should follow. It's up to you to find the one that'll help you, but you don't exclude all the others. Listen to other things too. Listen to other teachings. Read some writings from Rabbi Hirsch. Read in the commentary. Read Rashi. Read the Rebbe. Read everything. It just gives you information in your head. You don't have to say, oh, this one's right and this one's wrong. First of all, I don't know anybody's got the brain power to be able to see and look at it through God's eyes and say, this guy's right and this guy's wrong, because we can't do that. So just come on in. Now, somebody did say about common forgiving during rush hour. Yeah, I used to be that way too. Until I turned the radio off in my car and started talking to God during those times. Then you don't care how long it talks, because it seems to go very quickly, even if you're sitting in a traffic jam when you're having a conversation with God. And I don't mean sit there, close your eyes, fold your hands and pray. I'm talking about have a conversation with him like he's your best friend, because he is. Talk to him. You can ask him questions. Shira, when she first met me 7-8 years ago, when we got in the car, when I'd pick her up or we'd go somewhere, and after we got married, we came here, I never had the radio on in the car. She says, why don't you ever have any music on the radio? I love music. I said, I love music too, but I've gotten used to the car time being talk time with God. That's my connection time with God. Now, someone cut in front of you today from the far left lane to the far right lane for no reason. Well, guess what? You may not know the reason, but what you ought to do is say a little prayer for that person to protect them to get home okay to their family, so that they don't, the family doesn't have grief because of some stupid thing the guy did on the street or the woman did on the street. Just give them a little blessing. Put a little protection on them or something, Okay. Did I answer that, Scotty? Did I? Even though I wandered around a little bit, which I have a habit of doing. Shira calls me down on all. You start talking over here, you end up over there. What happens? Go ahead, Scotty.
I'm just going to say you might want to mention this book as well.
Yes, the Brit Shalom Practical Application of the Noahide Universal Noahide Laws. Yes. I have a copy over here, but I only have Hebrew. I don't have English. There we go. That's good. A good book to get. And it's a good book to get. First, get the Brit Olam, which is the prayer book. First, get that, because you're going to get more in the beginning out of that. And then, there you go. Brit Olam prayer book. First, get that one. If you only got money to get one of them, get that one first. When you go on, I think it's on Saturday nights, does Rabbi Goldberg does his teaching on Genesis or on Sunday nights or Saturday nights? I don't know. Check it out on YouTube.
I believe it's Sunday.
It's it's Sunday morning at it's 9:00 my time, so 11 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm saying nights because it's night my time when he's doing it. Yeah. Go there, and during the program now, I think they've instituted a certain amount of time there where they have a teacher on the applying the Noahide law principles, and I really want to get back into doing that when enough people get the book and are ready to do it, and have questions and answers about it and so forth. I'll get organized one of these days, and we'll get it all done. The biggest thing I've been doing right now is trying to get my little studio here in the office taken care of, so I can do things. Dan used to take care of it for us. See, I can switch backgrounds and put up stuff and all kinds of stuff. And I'm trying to get it as professional as Dan used to do it. He's, of course, got himself, he's finally got his license, I guess, to do what he has to do. And so he's got a full-time job right now. And we're on at a time during the week where he just can't be there. So we're doing it all ourselves now on YouTube and on Facebook and all that. And we're here twice a week. We're here Sunday nights at 10 o'clock at night on our YouTube channel. So if you want to know about it, join Torah for the Nations, or join B'nai Noach Connection with Israel. And every time we post, you'll see the times. Sunday night at 10 p.m. East Coast New York time, and on Wednesday nights it's 8 p.m. New York time. Could you please repeat who are the two universally recognized organizations in the Jewish world? They're recognized by Israel and Jerusalem and the rabbis, and the one that had the most recognition was Noahide World Center. But there's another big one in New York, in Jerusalem, and I forget, I'm trying to remember what they call it. I think they have a website called asknoah.com or something, or .org. That's Rabbi Weiner, who wrote the Divine Code, and Dr. Michael Schulman. Basically, it's a Chabad-run thing, but they're also very learned and very authorized, and they're good at what they teach. Noahide World Center is also good at what they teach, and they both teach the same thing. there are a couple of little things where there's a little bit of differences, but other than that, John Riggs, welcome. And friends from North Carolina, good to see you. So those are the two organizations, the big organizations that are out of Jerusalem. Remember what God said. His word will come out of Jerusalem to the rest of the world. So it's important that you understand there's a lot of other people teaching in other parts of the world. There's a lot of other people doing some other things. I'm not saying that they're not right. What I'm saying is God says the word of God comes out of Jerusalem, and we're the messengers for it. So check out those two groups. You don't have to choose one or the other, but you may if you want. But I would listen to both anyway. I do all the time. By the way, January 10th, we're going to have another time when people can take the pledge. Get a hold of me through Pesach Sherbo at, you know what I should do? Let me see if I can do that. Let me do this. Let me put my name on my picture instead of the organization so you guys can, I don't know if it shows up on, let me see. Okay. Does it show up on YouTube, by the way, that my name there? It'll change in a minute. It says Torah for the Nations. I'll have my name there. Just now, you need to do me a favor. I get a lot of people giving me friend requests. In some way, I wish I could know the ones that are coming from our teachings that are coming from, so that I can. Some people ask to be friends who I don't even know why they ask me to be friends from what I see posted on their Facebook page. Anyway, Terry, go ahead.
Have them send you a message that they are sending you a friend request, and they heard you from YouTube, B'nai Israel, whatever, or B'nai Noach. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's good.
Have them send a message why they want to be your friend.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do that. And because some people, I mean, I get spammed a lot on message friend requests, and so I just delete. But I do go to every single everybody that asks me to be a friend. I go to their Facebook page and look what's posted on their Facebook page, like clockwork. So if you send me a friend request and you go and post on your Facebook page, I sent you a friend request, then I'll know it's you. I'll know I'm not being spammed. So there you go. Okay. Tony, let's see, I can't even see who's here. Okay. Tony or Cole, when do you guys want to talk about your Saturday meetings? No?
Yeah, hold on one second. I was just trying to find my mute button.
Okay.
I'm actually on my telephone tonight. I'm not at home. I'm taking care of a friend who just got out of the hospital. So I'm doing that tonight. I'm not where we're normally at. But anyways, yeah, Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, we do a prayer. We do the Shabbos morning prayers, Saturday morning prayers, out of the Brit Olam prayer book put out by Noahide World Center. And then afterward, we read the Parsha from Chabad.org. And after that, we have Devar Torah, a word of Torah, from usually Rabbi Goldberg comes in. As it's after Havdalah already, after Shabbos is ended in Israel. He's able to come in and give us a little explanation of the Torah that we just read. So it's always a very enlightening time, good time to be able to just take an hour or two out of your morning and talk to God and join others who are of the same mind to pray to Hashem. So yeah, I'd encourage anybody who wants to join us to look under Seattle Noachides or Arizona, Noachide World Center, Arizona. What's it called?
Chapter,
Say again.
Arizona chapter.
Arizona chapter, yes. Noachide World Center, Arizona chapter, and yeah, we'll have them post. We'll have the Zoom pages posted on there.
Well, you also
that,
pay
so-
some in B'nai Noach connection with Israel too. So if they're a member there, they automatically get it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So by all means, please come and join us on Saturday. Yes,
Please. Be part of your community. Right now, you can't have it in your own backyard or in your neighborhood or in your city, but you're starting. It's starting. You'll make friends there. You'll make connections, and you'll move forward. And it's very good. Now, I want to just say, those of you that are watching on YouTube right now on the Noahide World Center, you've evidently already subscribed. If you haven't, push that little button in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe. We're at the same Zoom link, but we're from a different YouTube channel on Sunday nights. So on Sunday nights when you come in, make sure you subscribe to Torah for the Nations, or go to YouTube and subscribe to Torah for the Nations. Make sure you subscribe to the channels. That way you get always getting updates on what's going on all the time. Thank you, Sally. Appreciate it. And anyway, I guess that's about it, unless somebody else has something they want to talk about tonight. Terry, Scotty, Terry?
Can I share something?
You may, absolutely.
Earlier on, you said something that, you're always triggering my mind to go somewhere. You made a comment I thought was very interesting. You said, learn what is in your hand. And that automatically sparked my mind to Jonah, because it says in Jonah chapter 8, it says everyone is to turn back from his evil way and from the robbery which is in his hands. And in the down in the commentary from Midrash Lekhatov, it says we should concentrate on the evil we cause with our hands. Now, one thing is beautiful once you start learning about the Torah from Israel is that for every negative, there's a positive. For every positive, there's a negative. And I've learned that since I've studied for conversion and have, been studying for a while. So when I see, learn what is in your hand, we should concentrate on the evil that we cause with our hands. If we put away the robbery from our hands, it means we need to have something else in our hands. And so I got to thinking about, concentrate about the mitzvahs that's in your hands. When you remove the robbery that's in your hands, replace it with the mitzvah. And that's what I was thinking when you said that.
Very good insight. That's a good insight. Like you just said, everything has a plus and everything has a minus. Robbery is a minus. But if you take it out of your hand and you're going to go do something the other way, what are you going to do? And you got to do what you can do and what you learn to do, and start A, B, C, D, E, which reminds me, Cole's starting a new class again for Hebrew. I think you didn't say anything about it, Cole, but if you learn Aleph, if you learn Aleph, teach it, but don't teach Bet. In other words, if you know A, you can teach A, but don't teach B. And this is what you got to know about your teachers. And if the teacher knows A, B, he shouldn't teach C. You go to somebody else. But Terry, we just got a question. Is that library in your new home? Mike.
Mike, sorry. No, I wish it's a Zoom backdrop. Well, I don't know if it's Zoom. It's one I think I found online. I love books. I love libraries. I don't have near that many books, but I do have my share, and so it's always growing. My wish list on Amazon is 98% books.
You know, I guess not too many people are old enough to remember that are in the room. The smell of your book room in your home, your library in the home, or if you went into a real library, it has its own smell, its own taste to it when you're in there. And what a great place it was just to sit and read. I mean, that was long before internet, and everything you wanted to know came right off those books off those shelves and the little card files where you went and looked up what books there were. Of course, we don't do that today. But if you ever have a chance to go to a library, there we go. Beam me up, Scotty. If you ever have a chance to go to a real library, I don't mean the new ones that have been built now, but I mean one of the old ones that are built with wood and have the books sitting in there for years. It's like walking to somebody's house that bakes apple pie all the time, or cherry pie, or blueberry pie. It's such a beautiful smell. And it makes you want to learn. It makes you want to pick the book up. So it works on you to do that. Yeah, I like that background too. That's good. Although I'm cool, not since Star Wars came out, I've been more of a Star Wars guy than because I like the story of Star Wars. It's about good and evil. It's about the Sitra Achra and the light. It's about both sides of everything. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to bring up or ask questions? I don't see any more questions in YouTube right now, and I guess there's none over there on Facebook. James put in yes. I don't know what that means. Yes, you have something you want to bring up, or listen, I'm inviting all of you to come back again. If you only do it once a week, that's fine. If you only can do it every once in a while, that's fine. Sunday at 10 p.m. New York, East Coast time, USA, and on I see. Okay, thank you, James. Then on Wednesdays at 8:00, New York time. We're here every single week, twice a week for the time being. I'm actually, because we're going into full lockdown starting 5:00 Israel time on Monday, which is East Coast time, somewhere around 9:00 and 8:00, 10 o'clock in the morning. And if I'm not going out and I'm not doing nothing, I'm thinking about just getting on and talking and letting people come and ask questions. And I'll see it'll be posted on B'nai Noach Connection with Israel. It'll be posted on Torah for the Nations Facebook page. It'll be posted on my page. And if anybody wants to have a one-on-one conversation with me, get a hold of me. Let's do it. Anybody has questions they don't want to talk about in public, they need some counseling, they need some help, just get a hold of me and we'll set up and we'll just do our own little private chat and I'll help anybody I can. And I don't care what the topic is, essentially. You know, if you need some help with fears or you need some help, some counseling, how to handle a situation and any of that stuff, just let me know. I'm good, Ashley. Thank you for saying that. Just remember, every step we take, we're going forward. We never want to go backward. Now, going forward doesn't mean you might not trip and fall once in a while, but it's okay. You get up, brush off your pants, brush off your skirt or dress, and just keep going forward. Don't ever, ever go backward. But if it happens, it's okay. And Hashem will help you. And if you want to talk about something, let me know. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you coming in. I'm getting some invitation. I signed up for this MeWe or WeMe. I forget what it's called. And I've got a few invitations there, and I keep forgetting to go in and answer the invitations, but I'll hook up with you on that too. But right now, I don't think we're going to get away from Facebook anytime soon. So years ago, I started something called Faith Book, and I didn't have enough money to keep it going. It costs a lot of money to keep all that high-tech stuff going, so I just let it go. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, we're all in God's image. We're all equal. It doesn't make any difference who we are. And we need just to walk using God's handbook on how to walk with him. I mean, wouldn't it be great if when you married somebody, I'd say to Shira, here's my handbook, how to work with me. And Shira would say, here's my handbook, how to work with me. And then we wouldn't have any arguments. We just read the book and see how we're supposed to operate. How wonderful it is to be able to operate with God that way. Wow. It'd make our life easier if we could do it with each other. Wow. Any last words? Okay. Nobody's putting their mic on or hand up. So we're signing off. It's 4:37 in the morning here, which makes it, 11:37 where you guys are? Wow. Late night, huh? God bless you all. Be healthy. And we should only hear good news every day. להתראות. See you later.